Welcome to Zimmerman Podcast, episode 116. Today is week 4 in our brand new series, The Path Back to You. If you're new here, we're taking 52 weeks to discover how to become who we're meant to be. Each month, we dive into a new topic, and this month is energy. Today, we're talking about what happens when energy gets stuck. Let's get started and take this next step on the path back to you. All right, you ready? Let's do it. I'm Jessica Zimmerman, and this is Zimmerman Podcast. I'm a serial entrepreneur, mom to 3, and professional oversharer who has spent a decade building my business and helping others do the same. From wedding floral design to business education, features in Martha Stewart Weddings and Forbes magazine, and even writing and publishing my best-selling memoir, Sleeping with a Stranger, my business has kept growing, evolving, and changing year after year, just like me. Because the best thing about building a strong business is the freedom it gives me to live a full life. And that's what Zimmerman Podcast is all about, sharing real, transparent, in-the-moment reflections about how to live a life, build a business, and lead a family through the good, the hard, and the messy. That's what we're doing each week, right here on Zimmerman Podcast. Welcome to the show. Today, we're going to be talking about energy chakras. Even that word chakras might set off some alarm bells. As a church-going girl who was raised to believe this stuff isn't real, I get it. But like most things, learning about chakras isn't nearly as helpful as experiencing their truth. For some people, that could be as simple as going to an acupuncture appointment and feeling the release of pent-up stress for the first time in decades. For others, it could be doing yoga and learning to breathe into the solar plexus. In my life, it's looked like a friend who had a lot of trouble conceiving. She did all the medical work with the doctor, all the IVF, all the hormones, everything, but nothing worked. One session with a Reiki healer to help unblock her sacral chakra, and she was pregnant within a month. Another friend who experienced sexual abuse as a child developed a female-related cancer. In my own life, after years of watching Brian's health unravel before my eyes and months of hospital visits, colonoscopies, and brutal medications with no improvement, a visit to an infamous local doctor, or quack depending on who you ask, set us on the road to healing when the medicine man told us Brian had blocked chakras. We then visited a holistic doctor in California who confirmed the same thing. She explained that Brian had experienced emotional neglect and had a blocked solar plexus chakra, which can be linked to feeling unsafe expressing emotions, being responsible for others' emotions, being conflict avoidant, and people-pleasing. All things Brian related to. When, as a child, you're told not to cry, to shove emotions down, that your opinions and emotions need to be quieted, that deep conversations aren't polite, that you need to be a people pleaser, you don't suddenly figure out how to say and even feel those things when you turn 18. I know many of you listening felt the same pressure, the pressure to not have any of your own needs, to not have any impolite feelings. In many ways, to keep who you were, and quite possibly who you are today, stuffed down. In Brian's case, it's hard to ignore the effect that had on his soul and his body because his emotions did get shoved down, and they stayed there. And those emotions didn't just go away. They rotted him from the inside out. It just so happens that the solar plexus chakra is between the navel and sternum, exactly where Brian's discomfort and medical issues stemmed from. Energy can get locked and unlocked in our bodies, and the physical places where this tends to happen relates to where chakras are located. If this feels a little too out there for you, remember, we all do this all the time, just with more comfortable language. When something sad happens, you might say that your heart is broken, even though the brain and nervous system is in charge of pain perception, not the heart. When you feel nervous, you might say that you have butterflies in your stomach, even though that isn't actually possible. Before a wedding, we want to make sure no one has cold feet. See what I mean? We already relate emotions to physical locations in our body. With chakras, we're just giving a name and centuries of wisdom and practice to truths we already recognize in how we talk about our bodies and our spirits. When I first heard Brian's non-medical diagnosis, a blocked solar plexus chakra, I think that was the beginning of me really beginning to ask myself what felt right in my own body as far as what I had been told, trusting my intuition and not blindly believing people just because they had a few extra letters at the end of their name. Nothing the doctors had said had felt right, and it certainly hadn't done any good. Brian had just gotten sicker and sicker. I believed then, and I wholeheartedly believe now, had we continued on that course, he would have lost his colon and eventually his life. But when the medicine man and the holistic doctor explained the chakra and the emotional neglect, that felt true. I understood that. It was a completely different feeling in my body, a feeling I've come to identify as a knowing. I share more of this story in my TED Talk and in my best-selling memoir, Sleeping with a Stranger. The links to both of those are in the show notes and description. So that was the first of many questions around limiting beliefs I would ask myself over the next 6 years. Slowly, compassionately, and gracefully, I sat with things I had been told and I asked myself, does this feel true in my body? More on that soon. But today, let's dive into this. What are chakras? Chakras are centers of energy that exist in all of us in specific but not unique locations. Think of a traffic roundabout. Depending on where you live in the world, the traffic flows either clockwise or counterclockwise. Regardless of which way it flows, all the cars are going one direction, and there are no stop signs. Roundabouts are more efficient because they're in a constant state of flow. No starting, no stopping, no wondering whose turn it is. One way, around and around, constant, fluid motion. When you feel like you're losing your mind, I'm here to help you restore your soul. A few years ago, I woke up and felt like everything in my life was a lie. I didn't recognize myself or any of the people around me. For the first time in my life, I questioned everything I had ever been taught or told. I didn't know what was true anymore, and I felt like everything I knew was slipping away from me. I went through a complete dark night of the soul, until I was forced, by something much more powerful than me and my fears, to stop running from myself and start facing the truth. That the pain in my life wasn't coming from the world around me, but from the pain inside me. I remember thinking, what if the cause of your pain and the cure for your pain is the same? You. That's what my program, The Path Back to You, is all about. Not starting over, but starting again, on a path that will return you to yourself, a path that will heal and refine you, a path that will break you and make you whole. When searching for answers to what felt like an all-at-once, completely sudden, never-ending list of questions with no answers, all I found was the advice, just sit with yourself and heal. All the answers are inside of you. And I remember thinking, gee, thanks, that's helpful. I know I need to heal, and I'm willing and ready to do the work to do that, but how? Where do I begin? Well, it took some time, but after years of therapy, researching on my own, trial and error, mess-ups and setbacks, I found my way back home, back to myself. In The Path Back to You, I share with you my own personal story of struggle and trauma as a sacred offering. My hope is that through my story, you can better see yourself. I share with you my darkest moments and the steps I took to find my light, the light I had dimmed for most of my life. Throughout all the heartache I've endured, I've finally found peace, and I want to share my roadmap with you. If any of this resonates with you, trust that this episode found you for a reason. Trust the divine intervention. Those brave enough to have embarked on a healing journey know how incredibly lonely and painful it is. I remember feeling completely isolated, like I didn't even belong in this world anymore. It was scary as hell. But I want you to know you are not alone. While I fully believe healing is a solo journey, I think it's totally okay to have a roadmap and a pathfinder who has gone before you to guide you as you return home to you. Join me on the path back to you. Click the link in the show notes or go to jessicazimmerman.com to learn more. And just for you, podcast listeners can get 15% off with code PATH15. That's PATH15. Each chakra is a roundabout, a place where energy congregates and swirls and is redistributed throughout the body. Each chakra is a focus of specific energy. Different people believe differently about how many chakras there are in the human body, but here are the main ones that everybody agrees on. The root chakra. This represents strength, stability, and security. The sacral chakra. This represents sexuality and creativity. The solar plexus chakra. This represents inner power and vitality. The heart chakra. This represents love, compassion, and emotional acknowledgement. The throat chakra. This represents communication and sense of self. The third eye chakra. This represents an all-seeing eye of intuition and decision-making. The crown chakra. This represents spiritual connection and well-being. Now imagine the chaos that could happen if a car got into a roundabout and just stopped. Or worse, went into the roundabout and started traveling the opposite direction. This is what happens when chakras get blocked. Fear, guilt, and shame live in the root chakra. When the root chakra is blocked, everything is blocked. When you're in fear, your entire nervous system is hijacked by survival instincts. No one is driving anywhere in a traffic circle if your nervous system is trying to protect you from an asteroid crashing into Earth. If you feel like your energy is blocked or you struggle with pain, physical or emotional, that's specific to a location in your body, take time to explore some of these helpful resources to discover how you can get those energy roundabouts functioning in harmony again. And if you're still unsure about chakras, that's okay. Listen to your own intuition about what feels right for you. But if you've experienced months or years or decades of unresolved pain, I encourage you to dig deeper. Healing could be just on the other side. I share so much more on this topic in my new program, The Path Back to You. I dive deep into the individual chakras, what physical pains relate to each one, and steps to take in order to heal them. I hope you'll check it out. Before I go, I would like to share with you what one student is saying about her own journey on the path back to you. After I received the first week's materials, I was grateful for the practical application of the information to my life immediately, and if I'm being honest, the aesthetic. It's packaged and presented so beautifully. I love how I'm getting something each Friday. It's something to look forward to and not too much all at once. I am so excited this came into my life when it did. I am so grateful for this course. When I read your beautiful passage about the brightest, clearest, and whitest light, I couldn't believe it. I've been looking for that explanation for years. And immediately, I began to see myself in that clear, bright, white light. And I felt the vibrations. I felt my body change, calm, energized, all at the same time. This is real. I am so grateful already for this course. I am positive this is a moment when this has landed in front of me for the exact right season. Thank you. I am so grateful our paths crossed. That's from Katie Stadler in Alexandria, Virginia. That's what Katie is uncovering on the path back to you. What will you discover? When this episode finds you is the perfect day to begin. Join the journey at jessicazimmerman.com. You're ready. Thank you so much for joining me today as we journey down the path back to you. I hope what you heard resonated with you and you can take it with you into your week. If you're looking for more resources, you can visit jessicazimmerman.com. I'll see you right here next week for the next leg of our journey.